In 211 BC, during the Second Punic War, two armies, a Carthaginian force led by Hasdrubal Barca and a Roman army under the command of Publius Cornelius Scipio and his brother Gnaeus, fought each other in the Battle of the Upper Baetis, which included the battles of Castulo and Ilorca. The Romans had established their strongholds to the north of the Ebro after defeating Hasdrubal Barca in the Battle of Tortosa in spring 215 BC. Following this, they conquered a few Iberian tribes and began to invade Carthaginian territories south of the Ebro, with Publius Scipio going as far south as Saguntum in 214 BC. Tribal uprisings in Iberia were challenged and put down by the Romans and the Carthaginians alike. In Italy, where Hannibal Barca had the Romans under intense pressure, the Scipios did not receive any reinforcements. Meanwhile, Hasdrubal had been reinforced by two armies headed by his younger brother Mago Barca and Hasdrubal Gisco. During 215 to 211 BC, their troops fought many inconclusive engagements with the Scipio brothers. In late 212 BC, Hasdrubal Barca came to Iberia, bringing with him 3,000 Numidians led by Massinissa, the future ruler of Numidia. Castulo, a significant mining community and the home of Hannibal's wife Emils, was taken by the Scipio brothers in 212 BC. They afterwards spent the winter at Castulo and Ilorca. To supplement their 30,000 Roman soldiers, the brothers hired 20,000 Celtiberian mercenaries. Losses against Carthaginians and Iberian tribes since 218 BC and the requirement to defend the major Roman stronghold at Tarraco had diminished the Romans' strength. The Scipio brothers chose to split their forces after noticing that the Carthaginian armies were stationed independently from one another, with Hasdrubal Barca's army close to Amtorgis and Mago Barca with 13,500 men, stationed beside Hasdrubal Gisco's army more to the west. While Gnaeus Scipio took one-third of the Roman army in Spain and the mercenaries to battle Hasdrubal Barca, Publius Scipio led Roman and allies soldiers to attack Mago Barca close to Castulo. The Battle of Castulo and the Battle of Ilorca, which occurred a few days apart, were the results of this plan. First to reach his destination was Gnaeus Scipio. However, Hasdrubal Barca had already given the command for the forces of the Carthaginian-friendly Iberian chiefs Indibilis and Mandonius to join Mago near Castulo. While defending his camp against Gnaeus Scipio, Hasdrubal Barca was able to buy the Celtiberian mercenaries to turn on Gnaeus Scipio. Due to this, Hasdrubal's army eventually outnumbered Gnaeus Scipio's. While waiting, Hasdrubal refrained from engaging in any combat with the Romans. The Numidian light cavalry led by Massinissa harried Publius Scipio all day and night as he drew close to Castulo, in order to avoid being encircled by Carthaginian forces. Publius Scipio chose to attack Indibilis instead of Mago when he learned that Indibilis was moving across his line of retreat, with 7,500 Iberians. He marched off to fight the Iberians at night, leaving 2,000 warriors under the command of Tiberius Fonteius in his camp. With an advantage of 18,000 to 7,500, Scipio began to take control of the subsequent battle after marching all night and catching Indibilis and his soldiers off guard in the early morning.
Our defenses will hold, and you will hold. Or by the gods, I will throw any who run from the walls myself. This is no place for cowards today, for we stand between the enemy and our people, and we must halt.
Whom Scipio had wanted to elude unnoticed, but had failed to do so, arrived as the Iberians managed to repel the Romans in the chaotic night combat. The Roman assault on the Iberians slowed down when the Numidian horse attacked from the flank. After a bloody conflict, the Romans eventually collapsed and fled when Hasdrubal and Mago and a united army arrived, leaving Publius Scipio and the majority of their fellow soldiers dead on the battlefield. Before forcing the army to march in the direction of Hasdrubal Barca's camp, Mago allowed the Numidians enough time to plunder the corpses. A small group of Roman survivors made it to their camp. Due to the mercenaries' desertions, Gnaeus Scipio had lost the advantage of numbers. Gnaeus made the decision to retreat into northern Iberia once Mago and Hasdrubal arrived with their army, while being uninformed of Publius Scipio's fate. The Romans left their campfires glowing as they left and set off for Ebro at night. The next day the Numidians discovered them and their assaults forced the Romans to take a position on a hilltop near Ilorca for the night. The soldiers of Hasdrubal Barca, Hasdrubal and Mago now made up the main Carthaginian army, which arrived throughout the night. The area was too stony for digging, so the Romans tried in vain to build a defensive wall out of bags and saddles. As a result of the swift Carthaginian triumph, both Roman brothers were slain. Prior to this setback, the brothers had spent 7 years 218 BC to 211 BC in Hispania, limiting the resources available to Hannibal, who was battling the Romans in Italy at the same time. During the Second Punic War, these two fights were also the only triumphs in important land conflicts in which Hannibal was not in command of the Carthaginian troops. The Roman fugitives retreated north of Ebro, ultimately amassing an army of 8,000 men. The Carthaginian commanders made no concerted efforts to eliminate them and provide assistance to Hannibal Barca.